ISUPK started at 1 West 125th Street on the Commanding General Yohana. Also, remember to check out the classes we have here in the UK. We have classes Monday through Friday. We have them Monday, Wednesday, Thursday at 394 Lodge Road, B18 5PW. We also have online classes Tuesday, Friday. One from Manchester, one from London. We also have the Sabbath service in camp if the weather's too warm. With the radio show Friday evening, 7 p.m. till late. On the ends. Also, with classes, you can phone in, you can type in, you can ask your questions and so forth. You can attend. We also have a feast day coming up. The closing of the Feast of Tabernacles, Monday coming. Look out for that, man. Come on down to that, 394 Lodge Road, B18 5PW. Also, this month, they call this Black History Month. They call this Black History Month where they give you nothing for it, man. Or they get, hold on, give me 1 second. Yeah, they give you Black History Month. And during that month, guess what? You get no Black History, man. You get no Black History whatsoever. They give you somebody else's history. Hold on, let me just enter the studio. So they give you, let me mute this.
You can see from your window.
Yeah, I can see it from this side. So they give you no history whatsoever. And also, if you ain't been paying attention to the House of Parliament and all of those things, man, there's a new woman in office. I can't remember her name. Have you seen her when she wants to change cannabis to a Class A?
Yeah.
She wants to change cannabis to Class A, man. At this moment, it is Class B. So now there was like nowadays you would get about 5 years based on what she wants to do. You're gonna get 15 years. Based on usually you wouldn't get life for cannabis. They want to dish out life sentences for cannabis now. And guess what? If you're not a drug dealer, guess what? You wouldn't need to worry about these things. If you're not selling drugs, you wouldn't need to worry about what they're dishing out.
That's right.
Let me just pull up my notes. If you're not a drug dealer, you wouldn't need to worry about everything that these people is dishing out, man. And this is how this should let you know that the oppressors is the devil. I've noticed the pattern with them. What they do is whatever crime black people's into, those crimes carry more sentence than other crimes, man.
That's right.
Whereas Boris Johnson and all of them sniffing coke and doing whatever they're doing, man. They don't mention that in Parliament. They don't mention the crimes of what the oppressor does in Parliament. But in Parliament, they always seem to mention the crimes that black people do. Because they know the stereotype, they know black people and weed or whatever. So what do they do? Increase the sentences. They know black people and county lines. So what do they do? Increase the sentences. They know black people and guns. What do they do? Increase the sentences. They know black people and gang activity. What do they do? Increase the sentences. Whereas the crimes that they do, they don't increase the sentences, man. Whereas Parliament have an agenda to be against black people, man. And this is why the Lord tells us we must be righteous. This is why the Lord tells us we must keep his laws, statutes, and commandments, man. Because if we kept those, guess what would happen? We wouldn't have to worry about none of these things. We wouldn't have to worry about getting a life sentence for cannabis. We wouldn't have to worry about police pulling our car and finding drugs in there. If we just kept the laws of God, man. Hold on, let me see if I can pull up the article, actually.
I can screenshot from it.
Yeah, I pull up and then you put up a screenshot from this. Do you remember her name?
Huh?
Do you remember the woman's name?
No.
Weed. If you type in weed, Class A. Listen, I seen black people getting stressed over this, man. Weed, Class A. Health Office. No, it's cannabis actually. And you know what? I don't know. I don't know if my memory serves me justly, but the last I remember, I'm sure it was going to legalize cannabis, wasn't they? I was thinking that. I'm sure they said they was going to legalize it. So now this is an article. It says Tories open to giving cannabis same legal class as heroin, cocaine, and pills. So now they want to give it the same legal class as heroin, cocaine, and pills. Now listen, we ain't no advocate for cannabis or none of this nonsense. We want our black people to stop doing all drugs, man.
Right.
We want us to stop being criminals all over the globe. But we know they're using this to lock black people up. So what black people should do is be smart and say, you know what? We used to deal with cannabis. We're going to stop doing drugs and we're going to serve the Lord now. These things happening right here should be pushing black people to serve the Lord, man. These things should let you realize we don't have the same luck as white people do, man. We don't have the same luck as East Indians do. Because you already know that you get more jail time than everybody else. If they're trying to give out mandatory life sentences for people who go cultivate cannabis and whatnot, you should be saying, I don't want a life sentence. How do I avoid the life sentence? I'm going to tell you how you avoid the life sentence. By serving the Lord, man. The laws in the Bible don't send you to jail, man. It don't send you to jail. And guess what? If they did send you to jail for you preaching the word of the Lord, guess what? The Lord will deal with all of them, man. There's men in the Bible that were sent to jail. Those men in the Bible that are sent to jail, the difference between you and them is they're sent to jail for righteousness, man. They're sent to jail for serving the Lord. They ain't sent to jail because Peter didn't have no cannabis in his pocket and none of them. You didn't find no weed in Peter's pocket why he went to jail, man. Paul didn't go to jail because he had cannabis in his pocket. They went to jail for speaking the words of the Lord. And if you're familiar with that Peter story, guess what happened, man? They came out of jail. An angel popped the gates and they came out of jail, man. They were sitting in jail between two guards, meaning they was high risk. You see, when a prisoner is high risk, today they just put you in the part of the prison where the lights stay on, where you're locked down on your own. Listen, man, they tried to do that with Peter and them. They tried to put them in between two guards. And guess what happened? The Lord found a way to get them out of jail, man. Hold on, let me see if I can scroll down on this. Says Suella Braverman is receptive to the idea of making cannabis a Class A drug, a government source has claimed. Says the new Home Secretary believes marijuana has effectively been legalized since it has not been policed properly. It has been suggested. She's saying marijuana and cannabis and those things, it hasn't been policed properly. Whereas she needs to realize most people smoke marijuana and them things because of people from her country, man. People from her country, they're notorious for smoking marijuana. Them East Indians, they brought that to the Caribbean, man.
That's right.
They brought that to the Caribbean. It's Black History Month. Black man, marijuana is not your history, man. Marijuana is their history. She needs to go back to India and police it over there, man. She needs to go to the Caribbean and tell them, stop giving our people marijuana, man. Because they're the ones who introduced blacks and Hispanics to marijuana. It was them who was smoking it, putting it in a ram's horn and smoking it and singing and praising their gods. They started it, man. And then guess what happens? We take the fall for everything. Whenever anybody does anything in this earth, black people take the fall for it, man. Imagine this. People don't even know that marijuana, these East Indians brought it to the Caribbean. Nobody knows this. People think what? Marijuana started with Rastafarians. That's what people think. It didn't start with us. That's the practice we learned from them. And the Lord told us not to learn anything from them, man. The Lord told us not to join them. And what did we do? We joined them and we took their practices. So what you'll find is tons of things that we think is black culture, it's not really black culture, man. Tons of things that we think belong to us don't really belong to us. Marijuana don't belong to us. Smoking cannabis and all of these things, when you're sick, that don't belong to us, man. Listen, man. All of that is lies to destroy you. I mean, imagine this. People have cancer and they know you get cancer from smoking and they continue to smoke. Listen, man, I had an auntie that had cancer, man. Had cancer so bad they turned their living room into a bedroom. They turned her living room into a bedroom, man. And she had cancer, and guess what she was doing? Smoking, man. And people was bringing her weed and cannabis, and she's smoking, thinking this is going to make her better, man. And guess what happened? She's dead now, man. Because smoking doesn't make it better, man. You smoking weed, cannabis, marijuana, it's not going to make you better. Whereas you should be seeking the Lord, man. You should be seeking the Lord and seeking these. Listen, if you seek these profits as much as you seek weed, man, maybe your life could be saved. Maybe you could be changed, man. Imagine you go out your wits into the ends of the earth to get cannabis, man. You go to all four corners of the earth to find cannabis, thinking it's going to make you better, man. She done the same thing. Let me tell you another story about what she did, man. She done that. She also went to Ethiopia. No. Actually, no, at first she went to Ethiopia because Ethiopia's the motherland. Ethiopia's the motherland, and it's for black people, and it's this, and it's that. And guess what happened? She found out she had cancer in Ethiopia. Where did she go for treatment? Came back to England, man. Why didn't she go to the Ethiopian hospitals? Why? If that's the motherland and natural herbs and all of these things work. Listen, man. What everybody that tells you, do all of this and listen to what's his name? What's his name again that deals with all the herbs? What's his name?
Dr. Sabi.
Yeah, all of this Dr. Sabi remedies. When people get cancer, guess where they go? They go right back to the hospital, man. They go right back to the hospital. The Bible says, honor the physician, man. It's his role to help you in a medical situation, man. Whenever you're ill and you're dying, that's where you're supposed to go. Don't sit at home looking on the internet for recipes. These people that's giving you the recipes on the internet, listen, man, they ain't never been to medical school in their life. They're just telling you something that sounds good. They're telling you, oh yeah, because if you combine this vegetable with this vegetable with this vegetable, it sounds good. But does it work? It don't work, man. You need to go and honor the physician. Yeah, back to what I was saying. So she went to Ethiopia, got sick there, came back to England for treatment, came back, was still smoking weed. And then in the end, she said, okay, I'm going back to Ethiopia. She went back to Ethiopia. As soon as she got off the plane in Ethiopia, she died straight away, man. Died straight away. They just said she slouched down in the chair, man. Listen, man. What we need to do is stop smoking weed and cannabis. And listen, man, I remember growing up, the same relative, I've never seen her without a spliff in my life. My whole life, I've never seen her without a spliff. And the thing that us as black people like to do is one person will get cancer, and guess what we think? Well, that's them. This could never happen to us. That's them. This could never happen to me. Listen, man. There was an explosion in Ireland. Did you hear about the explosion in Ireland? There was an explosion in Ireland the other day, man. This is about how much people died, about 10 or 11. In our mind, we think this could never happen to me. This could never happen to me. Hold on, let me see if I can find that precept. The one when the tower fell on the people.
Oh, Luke.
I think it's Luke. Is it Luke 13 and 4?
Luke 13 and 4. Luke 13 and 4. Or those 18 upon whom the tower in Sir Iloam fell. So now there was a tower that fell on the people, man. There's a tower which killed the people because it fell on them. So now the tower fell on them. Go ahead, sir. And slew them. And they died, man. That's what it means when it says slew them. Think ye that they were sinners above all men. And then now people think, oh, well, that happened to them because they're a bigger sinner than me. People think that happened to them because, the sinners, that's why it happened to them. My punishment won't be that because I'm not a sinner. That's how we go through life, thinking, well, that happened to them. It's not going to happen to me. You see someone get killed and you stabbed to death, you think, well, that happened to them. That couldn't happen to me. So Christ is saying this to them now. Go ahead. That dwell in Jerusalem, I tell you, nay, but except ye repent, ye shall all likewise perish. And he says, except we repent, we shall all likewise perish. If we don't repent, we're all going to perish from cancer, man. We're all going to perish from petrol stations blowing up, man. We're all going to perish from those things. Listen, you're just thinking it was that petrol station that blew up.
understand this. It could be the petrol station where you go to put petrol in your car, man. Except we repent. And that's what we need to do. This is what we need in the black community, man. We need change. We need to change our life. Because why? The life that we've been living for too long, it's disgusting, man. The life that we've been living kills us. Only in our culture are we going to funerals of young people, man. Whereas in school, our whole thing is, I just want to be alive by the time I'm 25. Whereas these East Indians in school were saying, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. Whereas we don't have no hopes and no dreams. Why? Based on how we live in. And we live in terribly, man. And there's a new way now. The Lord has raised up the ISUPK in the UK to change black people's lives, man. To give black people a second chance. Listen, man. Black people, listen, man. You have a chance to repent. And the sign that you have a chance to repent is the ISUPK, man. Now, if there was no ISUPK, then maybe you wouldn't have no sign. Maybe you wouldn't have no chance. But the ISUPK exists in the UK. This is your sign, man. Whereas you should be here. The ISUPK is your sign to change your life, man. You're thinking that God's forgot you. Listen, man. God ain't forgot you. This is why he's put the ISUPK, man. You're thinking that God's forgot about black people. No, man. God remembers black people. And this is why there's an ISUPK, man. And you need to flock to it, man. You need to come to it. You're looking for a sign of God. The ISUPK is your sign from God, man. Where black people change their lives. Where you can come in here and you can speak to brothers about how their life used to be and how their life is now. Listen, man. This is where you need to be. Anyway, let me get into my topic. Salakia, give me Genesis chapter 9 and verse 18. So we're going to go into the Bible. Being this is Black History Month, we're going to go into the Bible of nations and where they came from and how every nation came from Noah and his 3 sons and so forth. Also, any questions, just type them in the chat and we will get to them. So we're going to start off in the book of Genesis chapter 9 and verse 18.
Genesis 9 and 18. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth.
So now it says the sons of Noah, they came out the ark, and it was Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So nations came from Shem, nations came from Ham, nations came from Japheth. Different nations came from all 3. And this all these nations that you see on the earth descend from one of Noah's sons, man. They from one of these families of the earth, they descend from one of Noah's sons. Now, some of them had sons who became their own families and families and families. Now, we come from Shem. The Arabs also come from Shem. The white man also comes from Shem. But we different families, man. We're different families. We're not the same. Now, Ham, Africans come from Ham. And people like to say that we Africans come from Ham, like your Burna Boys, Wizkid. You know who else is African Jamaican? Kofi Kingston, from the WWE. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. Listen, I kid you not, it's Ghanaian.
Had me for
Listen, I thought it was a brother as well. Kofi Kingston. Let me type it in so people see who I'm on about. Yeah, and he's even got the African surname. Can you screen share it on your side?
Let me find it. What's his name? Kofi Kingston.
Kofi Kingston.
Oh, Kofi.
And I'm sure he's got like a whole Jamaican gimmick, right?
Yeah. Kofi Kingston. Yeah, I'll show screenshots. Yeah, screen share right now. Yeah, use picture here. There is it.
You got it up?
Yeah.
So let me see. So now Kofi Kingston, he's a Ghanaian pretending to be Jamaican. He's Ghanaian, man. No, I got the thing here. Let me read it. Kofi, not Hajj. So Cody Mensah, and Mensah is a Ghanaian surname, man. Mensah is a Ghanaian surname. You know how I know? Because I work with Ghanaians and they have that same surname. Mensa, and the brag about Ghana. So here it says, born August 14, 1981, is a Ghanaian American professional wrestler, currently signed to WWE, where he performs on the SmackDown brand under the ring name Kofi Kingston. Says after graduating from Boston College, he decided to pursue a professional wrestling career and began performing on the New England independent circuit as a Jamaican wrestler by the name of Kofi Nahaj Kingston. Listen, man, he's Ghanaian and he acts like he's listen, he had me fooled. I thought it was Jamaican. Did you think it was Jamaican the whole time? I thought it was Jamaican the whole time. It says Kofi Nahaj Kingston. After signing a developmental deal with WWE in 2006, he shortened his ring name to Kofi Kingston. Kingston debuted in WWE in 2008 using the same Jamaican character as he did on the independent circuit. In late 2009, he stopped being billed from Jamaica and dropped the accent. Although he kept his ring name, he then started being billed from his home country of Ghana. Listen, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead with what you're saying.
Now I'm saying what Kofi Kingston doing, it's like Big Shaq. They use Israelite culture, and when they make it big, then they get rid of it. Like, no, I'm not that. You know what I mean? I was acting like that, but this is the real me. Like with Big Shaq, you know what I mean? There's no Benjamin Elingo. The one is on the Breakfast Club. Even they asked him, so where's Big Shaq? Like, nah, I'm somebody's Gaddafi. You know what I mean? I just want to show people me, but Big Shaq made you famous though. So what was like when they make it big, they don't want to be that Jamaican anymore now. They don't want to be that. They want to show who they really are.
And that's true, man. It's 100% true. Because he started his career of pretending to be Jamaican so much that he had us fooled, man. So much that I'm sure he used to come out with a Jamaican flag, right? He came out with a Jamaican flag, and they said it says after graduating from Boston College, he decided to pursue a professional wrestling career and began performing on the New England independent circuit as a Jamaican wrestler by the name of Kofi Nahaj Kingston. Listen, man, all these nations do is take from us, man. All they do is take from us, take, and they don't give nothing, man. They take everything. Kofi Kingston fronting like he's a Jamaican, man. Got little Jamaican kids thinking I can become a great wrestler because of Kofi Kingston, and Kofi Kingston ain't even Jamaican, man. Come to find out Kofi Kingston is Ghanaian. Come to find out Kofi Kingston is stealing our culture. I'm sure he used to come out to some Jamaican music too, right? See, he used to come out to Jamaican music. I think he used to wear the Jamaican colors. Why didn't he be a professional wrestler from Ghana? Because he knows nobody cares about Ghanaians, man. He knows Ghanaians ain't got no sauce and no flavor. So what did he have to do? Steal hours to make it to the big circuit. And then once he got there, he didn't thank the people who put him on. He didn't thank the Caribbean for allowing him to use their gimmick, for allowing him to use them and copy their culture. And now he's got big. He's just Ghanaian again now. Go ahead.
Now, and it's not only him. You remember back in the day, Hogan?
Oh, yeah, him too.
He's acting like a black man from the West Coast, like, you know, like Venice Beach, but they got the shirt and the do-rag on the head. Hogan's wrestling demeanor is a black man on Venice Beach. Yeah, brother, and he's talking and hands flipping. And also big a Papa Pump.
Him as well.
Yeah, his whole character is from a black man. You mean?
Yeah.
And again, another black man on Venice Beach lifting weights. So two of the most famous wrestlers, their wrestling characters came from Israelites.
Damn.
Maybe.
Listen, man, and even also, X-Pac's whole gimmick is Tupac, and that's why he wears the bandana. And the X-Pac asked Tupac's mom, "Can you have California Love?" He wanted to come out to California Love. She said no, and then he's got a song called California, which sounds similar to California Love. I can't remember their version's rubbish though. But X-Pac's whole gimmick before that, he used to call himself, was it 4-Pack or something like that, some nonsense like that. So before that, I think his name was 4-Pack. Then they changed it to X-Pac, and that's why he has the bandana, because his whole gimmick is him trying to be Tupac. Also, Road Dogg's gimmick was trying to be Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
So X-Pac and X-Pac and Road Dogg was trying to be Tupac and Snoop Dogg. And a lot of these wrestlers, these white boys, copy, and it's right, they copy the West Coast to the max. They try and do everything that black people do, and they pull it in their acts. And you can kind of see it. John Cena also tries to behave like he's a black man. I'm sure he tried to be The Rock, right?
Yeah.
He tried to be another version of The Rock. So all of them copy our culture, man. They all copy our culture, from Hulk Hogan to Big Papa Pump. The only white man I can say wrestler which is a white man is probably Stone Cold, drinking all the beer. He bees himself. He bees himself. Undertaker bees himself. But as for the other ones, they copy black people, man. You got Kofi Kingston, Big Papa Pump, Hulk Hogan, X-Pac, Road Dogg. They all try to be black people, man. And Vince, have you heard about Vince McMahon's fetish for black women as well?
Nah,
Vince McMahon, he had a fetish for black women, man. You see all them black wrestlers like Jacqueline and stuff. He used to sleep with them behind closed doors. That's why there's a scandal with him the other day. There's a scandal with him, and that's why he's kind of stepped away from the sport. And I think Triple H is kind of controlling it, is the face of it now. Because he had a fetish for black women, man. He was sleeping with Jacqueline and all the others. And then he found out that Kurt Angle had a fetish for black women. No, he found out that Kurt Angle had dated black women in the past. And Vince McMahon, it turned him on, and he kept speaking to Kurt Angle about it. You know, and he was fascinated by it, man. And that's how these Edomites are, man. No black woman should be lying down with them. Really, they don't love you like you think they do, man. They just have a fetish for you. For them, it's just sex, man. And they've always had these fetishes. I got a book at home where it tells you that it's called what's it called now? Sex and Nationality or something. And it will tell you how the oppressor went to everybody's land and he was having sex with the children, man. It said how he went to India and he was having sex with the little boys, man. He was having sex with them little Indian boys, and he used to like them more once they first started puberty. It said at 12, 13, that's the age that he would get them at. He would like them at that age, man. And then that's where the term pretty boy comes from, man. The term pretty boy was what? When a white man wanted to appear straight, but he would have sex with a boy and say, well, I'm only having sex with him because he's a pretty boy. Now, pretty is back then. Pretty was what you would call girls. So a girl would be pretty, and then they would see a boy and say his intentions was he was going to have sex with you, man. When somebody calls you a pretty boy, you should take offense, man. A pretty boy is what? You're a boy who's got girly features. That's what they're basically saying. They're saying you're a boy with female features, and that's what this oppressor used to do when he was in India, when he was raping all these boys. He would call them pretty boys, and what you would find is the pretty boy was somebody's girlfriend, man. This pretty boy would be one of the oppressor's girlfriends, which happened to be a boy, and they would call him a pretty boy. And comparison, American, what that book? Yeah. Hold on, let me see if I can find the picture. Let me see if I can find the picture, and then I'll send you the link. And this is how disgusting the oppressor is. He said once those boys started puberty, that's when he would sleep with them, and he liked it. So about 10, 11. Listen, East Indians get hairy rapid, man. They get hairy quick, man. Exactly. So as soon as this never seen a little bit of hair, that would turn him on, and he would force them to have hold on, let me see if I can find it. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm just going to see if I can find what the book's called.
That's cool. You can
no, I can't find it, but I'll go back in my orders. It should be in there somewhere. So what this devil would do, he would have sex with them as soon as he's seen a little bit of hair in them. And they went to many lands and done that. Many lands that they done to, they was more interested in the boys than the girls. And back then there was them slave masters who liked to act like they was straight. This is what they would do. In the nighttime, they would dress up as drag queens, man. They would dress up as drag queens in the nighttime, and that's why they still do these things till this day. They have all these shows till this day. They have all these shows, listen, man, where they dress up in drag at night. There's documentaries on it, and also, I'm sure in the same book, I think I got 2 books. In one of the books, this is what the oppressor said. He said he's not gay because he's not taking it, he's giving it. That's what he said. He said he's not gay because he don't take it, he gives it. And this is why in prison, people say the same thing in prison, man. Men in prison say the same thing. In prison, they'll be like, I'm not gay because I don't take it, I give it. Listen, man, whether you take it or give it, you're gay, man. So look, excuse my French, it's against the Lord, man. Both of the actions is against the Lord. A man shouldn't be doing those things with a man. A man shouldn't be doing those things with a man. And in the book, I'll see if I can find it for next week. But it tells you all of those things in there, man. They was doing all of that, and to them that was normal. He would say, "Well, this is a pretty boy who looks like a girl. Is a boy that looks like a girl." And he said that he found them attractive as well, man. And he would sleep with them at young ages. He would sleep with them at young ages, man. And back then, the only people who had a right, I believe, was the white boys. Only they. Only with them, it had to be consensual. So if this oppressor wanted to have sex with a younger oppressor, it had to be consensual. Whereas with everybody else, every other race, you didn't have to consent because to them, you was just the animal that he's going to have sex with and do whatever he wants to. And listen, man, I'll see if I can find the book for next week, but we're going to get back to Genesis. Hold on, we can drop that. We can go to Genesis chapter 10 and verse 1.
Genesis 10.
Also, any questions, just type them in and we'll get to them.
Genesis 10 and 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So now it's letting you know these are the generations of the sons of Noah. Hold on, let me just. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. And unto them were sons born after the flood. So now, with some of these men, their sons became nations. So now, nations came out of Shem. You had the Arabs come out of Shem. You had us come out of Shem. You had, who else came out of Shem? The Arabs,
Moabites, Chinese, Indians. Yeah, so nations, plenty of nations came out of Shem. And then out of Japheth came Hawaiians, Samoans, the original occupiers of England, Russia, Germany, I believe. The original occupiers of most of Europe came out of Japheth. But obviously, if you look at the map today, people will tell you now that Japheth's the white man because they're looking at who lives in Germany today. They're looking at who lives in England today. Whereas what you got to realize is when this Bible, you need to take into account when this Bible was written. You need to look at where people was living back in the 1st and 2nd century. You can't be looking in the 21st century and saying, well, Esau's Japhet because Esau lives in white people live in England. That don't make no sense. You need to find out who originally occupied England. Any history book will let you know. You need to see who originally occupied France and all of them places. History will let you know, man. And then what you'll find is, with history will let you know that the Romans conquered nearly everywhere, man. The British Empire conquered nearly everywhere. It will let you know that different factions of the Romans conquered different parts of the earth, man. And then what did they do? They stayed there for a while, had children, got rid of those people that was originally there. And then what happened, man? It became their land. Australia belonged to Japhet too, right? Yeah, Australia belonged to Japhet too as well. Before the oppressor did what? Turn it into a penal colony, man. What meaning what? A penal colony is when you take someone's land and you turn it into a land where you send your prisoners to. So what did has the internet dropped on your side or is it just my side? No, oh. So yeah, they turned it into a penal colony. So what you'll find is the British, they sent I believe 7 ships to Australia, and those were all prisoners. And then over time, them prisoners, some were sent there for life, some didn't want to come back, and the ones that didn't want to come back, they're your Australians. They're the children of your Australians today, man. Which should let you know Australians is children of criminals, man. It should let you know Australians is children of criminals. And most of them would brag about this. They'll tell you, yeah, my ancestors they came from Britain and they were sent here as a penal colony. Hold on 1 second. I think it's dropped as well, isn't it?
No, I'm using my hotspot. It's fine.
It's working. Oh. So that's who came out of Japhet. And then we come out of Shem. The Arabs also come out of Shem. So the Arabs that own all this oil and have all these sheikhs and these princes and all of these things. Obviously, they come from Shem also. Read on.
The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach. So
now all these names is the sons which came out of Japhet. So now what happens? What you will have is the sons of Javan, the sons of Tubal, and all of them. They would have a family. It's like once upon a time. It's like you're living in your father's house with your siblings, and what happens? You have your family, and then you move out, and then you go settle over there. Your brother goes and settles over there. They also done the same thing. This is how the earth was. This is how the earth got populated, and people got different land masses. A man would have a family. He would take a wife and have kids, and guess what would happen? He would move out of his father's house and go settle over there. And then over time, you would give this land a name. You would give this land a name. This land would become Russia. The other brother that had kids, that land would become France. The other brother that had kids, that land would become Australia. You would all move out and branch out and do all of those kind of things. And that's just normal. That's how that's how the world gets overspread. Like obviously at one time it would be a wilderness until you go there with your family, meaning there's nothing there until you go there with your family. You would start to build, and then that's how you would do things. I think it's stopped on the YouTube on this one, you know. On the yeah, it stopped.
So on the YouTube itself, on
this one. So the connection's gone on there. Wait, hold on. Is it streaming on there?
Yeah, streaming.
Is it? Oh, I don't know. It's probably my phone messing about. So now people over time, people branch out and move, and the Lord wanted all of us separate for a reason, man. The Lord didn't want everybody to come together. And what should let you know the Lord wanted us separate? He flooded the earth, man. Why? Because everyone was mixing. We marrying people we're not supposed to marry. People the Lord told us not to marry. We want to lie down in bed with them. Nah, man. The Lord said, nah, we're not about to do this, man. The Lord said, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to keep going back and forth with man. So what did he do? Flooded the earth. Let me read some more. Let me read verse 5. It says, oh, you got it. All right, verse 5.
By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their land.
So by these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands. So now, by these sons right here that we just read about, the isles was divided between them in their lands. Go ahead.
Every one after his tongue, and their families in their nation.
So they all come from one man, but they branched off and had their own families, and they moved, and the isles was divided. So one man and his kids, they would move to this part. Another man would move to that part. Another man would move to that part. So they would all they would do all of that. Hold on, let me see what I want to jump into now. Yeah, verse 6 actually.
And the sons of Ham.
So now this is going into the sons of Ham, letting you know that we ain't all one people. People say we all one people, which is a lie, man. How we all one people if this is saying the whole earth was overspread by 3 different people, man? 3 different sons of Noah. Now these is the sons of Ham. Now Ham was the youngest son of Noah, and he had sons also, and the lineage goes through the men. This is why here it's letting you know these is the sons of Ham, and these sons of Ham, they became nations also. They became different tribes of Africans, man. They became different tribes of Hamites. Now, when you look at Hamites, they've got tons of tribes. Listen, man. If that's the case, if you're from Africa, we should know exactly what part. We should know exactly what part, what country in Africa. We should know what part of Africa we're from, man. Do you know how much places in Africa there is? Africa is massive, man. There's east, north, south. Listen, man. Africa is massive. I'm sure if you got Upper Egypt, Lower Egypt, you got all of these places in Africa, man. And nobody can't tell us which part we're from. Listen, man. That's like a man coming to you saying, yeah, what country from? The Caribbean. That doesn't make no sense, man. A man wouldn't tell you the country he's from is the Caribbean. He would tell you where in the Caribbean he's from. He's going to say Jamaica, Barbados, or wherever. St. Nevis. He's going to tell you where he's from. But we are lost people. So what do? We say, oh, we're from Africa. Why? Because we've never really opened a proper book, man. We've never opened a book to let us know where we're actually from. We just believe the lies that the oppressor tells us. He tells us, yeah, we're all African. And Africa, we sold each other and all of those things. And you're getting this from the oppressor. And the thing is this, I'm going to tell you why you can't listen to the oppressor. Because in history books, when we first came to England, these oppressors asked us, where are you from? We said Jamaica. And guess what he said? What part of Africa is that? That's what he said. He thought Jamaica was in Africa. So how are we listening to him tell us about where we're from? He thinks everything to do with you is African. He ain't opened the history book either. He said, where in Africa is Jamaica? Whereas all this devil's had the privilege of going to school, college, history books at his feet, and he doesn't know where the Caribbean, he doesn't know where Jamaica is. We can't listen to them based on them giving us our culture. We can't listen to them based on them giving us anything, man. Because why? They lie to us. They tell us a ton of lies. Everything they tell us is not the truth, man. Go ahead.
The sons of Ham, Cush.
Cush is the Ethiopians. The Ethiopians and your Eritreans and Somalians, and really the all one in the same. I just believe the white man just broke up their land, divided up their land like how he did with India and Pakistan and Iran and them things. He just broke up their land and so forth. Go ahead.
And Mizraim.
Mizraim, these are the Egyptians, man. Now, once upon a time, Africans was in Egypt. I believe it's full of Arabs now, right? It's full of Arabs now. Listen, man, if you're a woman and you go to Egypt on a holiday, them Arabs be begging to have sex with you, man. Them Arabs beg black women to have sex with them. They're offered to be taxi drivers and take them around and tell them they love them and all of these kind of things. That's what them Egyptians is out there doing. You go there as a tourist and they can't even be professional, man. Imagine this. They have a job to do. You're a tourist and they're trying to have sex with you, man. That's the nature of these people. They also see black women as having fetishes and all of those stuff. Go ahead.
And Phut, and Canaan, and the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah.
And now Cush had sons. We can jump down to. Hold on, let me see. Actually, we can drop that. Give me Genesis chapter 21 and verse 1. So like I said, I was watching across the line, and the cap says there is the devil man, devil, and the angel devil. Now I had the understanding that the angels are demons and the white man, the devil deceiver. Do you got what it means?
Like, it's basically saying that the white man is the physical part of.
Oh, that's it, isn't it? Okay, that's it. Yeah, you can break it down for me if you want.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So in reference to Across the Line, I've watched it too. So I'll break it down a bit more easier for you. Meaning, there is an angel which is the devil, or it's called Satan. Remember, he's an angel. He works for the Most High. His job is to tempt people. Remember, he can't make you sin, but his job is to tempt you that you physically do it. Then Satan has a physical help on the earth, which is the so-called white man. The white man is he puts out all manner of lust, doing Satan's work on the physical scale. If that's what was said in a more easier term, if that helps. We're back in. Yeah, all good.
You're good now.
Yeah, all good. Also, yeah, well, I'm using my hotspot on this laptop.
Oh no, sir. Oh. So now we're gonna go to the book of Genesis 21 and verse 1.
Genesis 21 and 1. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah had conceived and bare Abraham a son.
So now Sarah had conceived and bare Abraham a son. So now we're going to get into where we come from. Go ahead.
Abraham a son in his old age, and the set time of which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac.
So now, Isaac. So now we're going to go into where did we come from? We're going to go into where did blacks and Hispanics come from? Because we descend from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, at this time, like we said, many nations come from Shem. Abraham already had a son called Ishmael, and Ishmael wasn't the chosen one. The Lord didn't want Ishmael. Abraham said, "I'll let Ishmael live before thee." The Lord said, "No, I'm going to raise you up a next son." So if the Lord wanted Ishmael to get any blessings, if the Lord wanted Ishmael to get the covenant, he could have gave it to Ishmael, man. If he wanted Ishmael to get the covenant, the Lord would have gave it to Ishmael when Abraham asked. The Lord said no when Abraham asked, man, because the Lord didn't want them to get the covenant. What you'll find is these Arabs also steal our culture, man. They also steal our culture. They try and steal our records. What you will find is everything that we have has been stolen by some nation in some type of way. Every single thing. Burna Boy stealing our music. Kofi Kingston stealing people of the Caribbean's culture. Hulk Hogan and all of them stealing black people's culture. Flipping what's that? All these who is it now? Adele trying to steal black people's culture also. Amy Winehouse definitely stealing black people's culture. White people don't sing how Amy Winehouse sings, man. Go ahead.
Even that Justin Timberlake and Robin Thicke, they
million percent
like James Brown.
$1,000,000% with Robin Thicke. With Robin Thicke, I'm sure all the Michael Jackson beats that Michael Jackson turned down, he took them right. I'm sure he took them. Like these like all try and steal everything, man. Elvis Presley as well. Elvis Presley. What do you remember the man's name that Elvis Presley stole his whole style?
Online you can actually find the man, and Elvis Presley sings exactly like
him. Exactly this. Listen, I'm telling you, if you're just driving in your car and you don't see no picture, you would swear blind that's Elvis Presley. You'll be like, yeah, this is Elvis Presley, not realizing Elvis Presley stole the whole thing from that very man who he is. And it's a black man. See, and the sad thing is, we don't even remember his name. And everybody knows Elvis Presley's name. And I'm sure Elvis Presley went to his... I'm sure this guy was like used to sing in a house, like a little singer. It was like a little singer and used to have the deep voice. I'm sure he even had the same look. I think he had a similar look. Is that his name, Chuck Berry? It's not Chuck Berry. I can't remember his name. If someone knows his name, type it in because I need to see if I can pull up a picture of him, or at least let you hear the vocals, and you can decide for yourself. But there's an Elvis Presley movie which came out recently. Have you seen it? It's called Elvis. It came out, and I think in there, I'm sure someone said, no. I'm not sure if they do mention that he stole his stuff from the black man, but I need to watch it and see. But what you'll find is all your musicians steal black people's style, man. Eminem, most people don't even know that Eminem stole his style from Russ Cass. A rapper called Russ Cass, he will do an interview where he's saying, yo, Eminem, he was basically saying that he basically mentored Eminem, and Eminem gives him no credit and don't pay him. And guess what? Dr. Dre chose to work with Eminem over all these black people he could have worked with, man. All these black people Dr. Dre could have worked with, what did he go and do? Worked with Eminem. All these black people, do you find him?
Yeah, his name is Otis Blackwell.
That's his name. I'm sure he even looked. See if you can get a picture of him. I'm sure he even had the sideburns too, or is my memory not serving me justly? I can't remember. He had some kind of high top that Elvis had anyway. So now we're gonna pull up a picture of him, so you can see what he looks like. Because really, this is Elvis before there was an Elvis, man.
That's right.
And now Elvis Presley is known as what? One of the greatest singers of all time. Not realizing he stole a black man's star, man. Not realizing he stole a black man's music and a black man's whole style. Yeah, we're gonna put the picture on the StreamYard. So yeah, this is him. If we even play one of his songs so they can hear him, you think we'll get flagged?
No, you shouldn't. Them songs are old.
I mean, listen, we're gonna play a little bit of it so you can hear where Elvis got his whole style from. So we're gonna play a little bit of him, and it's sad that this brother don't even have a fan base. Imagine this: his family should still be getting royalties till this day, man. His family should be getting royalties, but they're not. Guess who is getting royalties? Elvis Presley's daughter, man. Elvis Presley's ex-wife. They're all making money off of black culture. Anything that these other nations do and it sounds good, you might have to look deep into it and think, where did they steal that from? And I guarantee you, they probably stole it from us.
It's here. It's called Otis Blackwell. I taught Elvis Presley how to sing. He knows.
See, Otis Blackwell. I taught Elvis Presley how to sing. And imagine this: everybody runs around giving Elvis Presley all this credit. Elvis Presley is a fake, man. The real Elvis Presley is a black man called Otis Blackwell. Is that his name? Otis Blackwell. Otis Blackwell. That's the real Elvis Presley, man. And Elvis Presley stole his whole style, stole from black people, man. and made millions. He made millions from it. Now he's a multimillionaire. He was living in the mansion. What is his mansion called now? He had a big mansion called, I can't remember the name of it, but he had a big mansion, man. And he was living there. His whole team was living there. He had chefs living there with him. He had his father living there with him. I'm sure he even had his ex-wife still living there with him.
Yeah.
He had his wife and his ex-wife living there in that big mansion. And you can go see that house till this day. That house is there till this day. I think they call it that's Michael Jackson. I can't remember what it's called. It's called something anyway. And even the dances that Elvis Presley was doing don't even come from him. Like what you'll find is every nation has a hand in stealing our culture.
I've got a piece of a article right here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it goes, Elvis stole style from little known black musician who sounds identical.
Elvis stole style from little known musician and sounds identical. Listen, man. This is what these devils do. They see something in you that you don't see in yourself, man. They see we can make merchandise of them. They see, you know what? Let's just go around them for a little bit. Steal their style, and we can make millions. Elvis Presley done it, man. Eminem done it. Justin Timberlake done it. Robin Thicke done it. I mean, Justin Timberlake doing all them dances. He's like a fake Usher to me, man. It seems like he's trying to copy Usher. Listen, man, they try to copy everything we do. Did you find any of his songs? We're going to play a bit of Otis Blackwell to show you that they stole all of that from us. Oh, yeah, you got one on the article as well? Yeah, you can get one on the article as well.
All right, well, we're looking forward to it. And this will be Don't Be Cruel, as it was initially written. Otis Blackwell. Otis
song, Don't Be Cruel. Read this song.
This is Otis' song.
Yeah, read this song.
Which one's this one singing? Which one's this one singing? Otis. See, I can't even tell the difference.
Baby, if I made a man, something that I might have played, please let me get back. The future is right ahead. Don't be good to a heart.
See if we can get a Otis Blackwell's net worth and Elvis Presley's net worth. So we're gonna get Otis Blackwell's net worth and Elvis Presley's net worth. And listen, man, Elvis Presley knew what he was doing the whole time, man. He knew what he was doing the whole time. Imagine that. You still, if you're gonna steal someone's, you would at least tweak it a little bit so people can't be like, this man kept it the same. The Bible says this man would even steal down to the last great man. Down to the song, this man stole Don't Be Cruel, man. Meanwhile, he's one of the cruelest men on the face of the earth, man. He comes from a race of cruel people. Imagine the Stole the Man song, and he had the cheek to sing it like it's his.
I got his net worth. So he goes, with Otis Blackwell, net worth or net income is estimated between 1 and 5 million.
That's all. Damn, and what's Elvis Presley's? Yeah, no. So between 1 and 5 million, really it means he's got 1 million.
Yeah.
Really it means he's got 1 million or less. They're trying to be nice. Now let's see what Elvis Presley's net worth is.
All right. With Elvis Presley, his net worth is of $20 million.
Damn it, I thought it would have been higher than that.
No, but it was at that time.
Oh, it was at that time. Oh, okay, yeah, it would be more now. So basically, Elvis Presley's got at least 19 million more than the man he stole from. Elvis Presley, type in Elvis Presley's house, it should come up. We're going to show Elvis Presley was living in a nice mansion. I'm sure it was in, I don't know if it was in Calabasas or California somewhere, but he's living in a nice mansion somewhere, man. Meanwhile, he stole Otis's style. Otis should be living like this. I guarantee you, Otis's children is just regular people now, working regular jobs. Meanwhile, Elvis Presley's children don't have to work a day in their life, man.
All right, the house is called a Graceland.
That's the one, Graceland.
Elvis Presley house is a one-story ranch style house in a resident neighborhood in Memphis, Tennessee.
In Memphis, Tennessee. It's called Graceland. And he's got a nice house there, man. And I'm sure people can go there and visit it till this day. People can go there and visit it. It's basically a museum. You can go there and visit it till this day. They put these things there, and guess what? Elvis Presley's name will go on forever. And Otis Blackwell, people have already forgot he existed. People have already forgot that's his kind of music. What's that genre of music? Is it rock and roll, jazz?
Jazz, yeah. More jazz.
More jazz.
Yeah, more jazz side.
So now Elvis Presley, and now I'm sure Elvis Presley has become the king of that genre. Yeah, see, now they call Elvis Presley the king of rock and roll. What about Otis Blackwell? Listen, man, they do this all the time. What you can find is every genre of music they've stolen and they make themselves the kings. Now Eminem has become the king of rap. Bob Marley's become the king of reggae. Elvis Presley is the king of rock and roll. These is all things that they've stole from black people, man. Bob Marley learned from the Wailers. He learned from Bonnie Wailer and them. And now, then they had the cheek to call it Bob Marley and the Wailers, as to say Bob Marley's the main and these are just the sides. Bob Marley's the main character and these are the sides. Everything we have, they steal, man. Whether it be reggae, whether it be bashment, dancehall, they steal all of it, man. They steal all of it, and then now they become the king of it. Now, Elvis Presley is the king of rock and roll. Now, Eminem is the king of rap. Now, Bob Marley is the king of reggae. Listen, man. When it comes to reggae, there's what about Garnet Silk and Dennis Brown and all of them? You telling me Bob Marley's better than them? I don't even think Bob Marley's library of songs is even that much.
No,
it isn't. Is it?
That's one album.
About that one album, innit?
Yeah, nothing extensive.
That's what I'm saying. And Dennis Brown and them, they've got songs on top of songs, vinyls and records. They've got songs on top of songs. But now Bob Marley's the king of reggae. This is the thing. Other nations, we let them in our culture, and they become the king of reggae, man. I seen Sean Paul the other day. Do you see him the other day talking about who is it that they're trying to make the face of reggae? They want some reggae award, some group
from America.
Some Edomites or something.
Yeah, a bunch of Edomites. No one ever heard of it. Like,
and now they're winning records. Listen, man, Grammys don't mean nothing, man. All of these awards don't mean nothing. You know why? Because the people who vote and give out these awards, it don't mean nothing, man. Listen, man, when they do polls on who's the greatest rapper, do you think black people vote? We don't vote. We listen to whatever we want to listen to. Listen, man, you know how you know Eminem's not the king of rap? Because nobody plays Eminem in our neighborhood, man. That's right. Nobody. When is the last time you've heard a car driving past and Eminem's playing out of that car? When is the last time you've heard a black person playing Bob Marley? You don't hear it, man. You don't hear black people playing Bob Marley. Even Rastas don't play Bob Marley, man. That's right. Rastas don't even like Bob Marley. What you'll find is Rastas is more listening to Dennis Brown, Garnet Silk, Freddie McGregor. Rastas more listen to those kind of people. Now, on a Sunday, if you're a Benjamite, you know being a Benjamite, every Sunday, your mom's cooking and cleaning to the reggae. She's cooking and cleaning to reggae, and you don't hear Bob Marley, man. The reggae your mom plays, she doesn't play Bob Marley. And no word of a lie, you being a Benjamite yourself, if you're a Benjamite or if you're in tune with Benjamite culture, you know every Sunday when the rice and peas is on the fire and you smell the cooking, you don't hear Bob Marley being played, man. You don't hear Bob Marley. The only time you hear Bob Marley is when you put your radio on Capital One Extra. Like white people's idea of Black History Month is playing Bob Marley. Listen, man, Bob Marley weren't even lyrical. He wasn't even lyrical, man. One of his lyrics, how does his lyrics, what is it again? It was basic. What is it? I can't remember it. There's one which is so basic. I can't even remember, but all his lyrics is basic. Whereas you want to listen to real music, what you'll find is proper reggae artists like Dennis Brown and them. When they sing, It can touch your heart a little bit. Bob Marley doesn't have that effect, man. All Bob Marley does is sells records. That's all he does. Sells records to Edomites, and they buy them. Go ahead.
And based to in Germany and Poland.
Listen to him there.
Listen to him. No, but what to do is they like that era of reggae music, and there's many vinyls that worth like £1,000, £600, and the Bob Marley ones ain't worth anything. No, and what it is, he didn't make a lot of songs, but there's some vinyls out there. A lot of them wasn't made, and they will buy them off you. You can advertise them, man. A Polish man can message you like, I'll give you like £800 for that a vinyl, and they do. Why? Because the other reggae artists, they made a lot more songs. But the thing is, because their songs are more harder to find, that's why their music in the long run is more valuable, and people want their vinyls as well.
Makes sense. It makes sense. Listen, man, if you got any of them old reggae vinyls, man, you hold on to them. Don't be selling them. Obviously, don't get caught up with well, I can listen to it on Spotify now. You want to keep your vinyls, man. If you got the player as well, you want to keep them vinyls. Listen, my dad used to have them records, man. Them big ones that come in the big case, and you take it out and the thing's all black and whatnot, and you put the finger on it, whatever the hell it's called. He used to have all of it with the pin. He used to have all of that, man. And guess what? I didn't see one Bob Marley one day. Not one Bob Marley one. Like, while it is, these nations steal from us, and they love black people's culture, but they hate black people. So what do? They bring in someone who steals black culture, and because they don't want to give black people the credit, they don't pass that credit on to somebody else. So that's why Eminem is now what? The king of rap. To say Eminem is the greatest, it sold the most records. Record sales don't mean nothing, man. Listen, just because you sell records, it don't mean nothing, man. I mean, crack sales and crack ain't good for you, man.
That's right. Crack
sales and it ain't good for you. Eminem selling records, that don't mean nothing, man. Listen, there's garbage that sells, and that don't mean it's good for you. You thinking, like I said, they come into our culture and they steal it, man. Everything we have, everybody steals it. But let me get back to verse 3.
The name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him Isaac.
Good.
And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac.
Abraham did what?
Circumcised his son Isaac.
Listen, man. These Africans stole circumcision from us, man. These Africans stole circumcision from us. Nowadays, they look at us like we're unclean. They look at us like we're unclean. Oh, especially in the UK, they'll be like, oh, Caribbean men don't get circumcised, this and that. Africans will say this. Caribbean people are dirty, they don't get circumcised. When they stole circumcision from us, do you know where the one is when we made them get circumcised?
In Japan.
So listen, man, they stole it from us, and we the reason why they even get circumcised, man. The thing is this, people have stolen our culture and then throw it back in our face and make out like we the dirty ones, make out like rap didn't begin with us, make out like nothing didn't begin with us. All these things began with us, man. Circumcision came from us. Now, obviously, Ishmael can argue that he had it too. Why? Because he's a son of Abraham. So obviously they would have had it too, him being a son of Abraham. But now these Africans, they didn't have circumcision, man. But it's something they stole from us, something they learned from us. And now they've kept on to it. And now what do? Throw all these things in our face. Or use like got no culture. Africans will say to us, we got no culture, not realizing a lot of our culture, they're copying till this day. People think, people say, Ghanaian, people like people make up stuff like listen, there was a stupid video. There was a video on TikTok where some guy was going over things which Caribbean people do that Ghanaians do, trying to say Caribbean people and Ghanaian people do the same things because they're the same people. No, man. For a time, we was in Ghana, man. That's all it was. For a time, we was in Ghana, and I'm sure the records say that we influenced them and they copied our culture, man. We influenced them and they copied things from us, things which they kept. So this is why similar things that we do, they will do. Similar things that we eat, they will eat. Let's say, for instance, we will eat fried dumpling. I'm sure they call theirs puff puff.
Yeah.
They call theirs puff puff. I've never tasted it. I never will taste it.
That's right.
I never will compare it to dumpling. Never, ever, ever. Listen, it could be the nicest thing on the face of the earth. I'm never trying it. It just looks disgusting. Puff puff and the one where they put their hand in and grab it and put that just looks disgusting, man. Just use a fork, man. It's not that hard. Just use a fork or spoon. Africans do this and they want to shake your hand and nah. People say our culture's the same. It's not, man. There's certain things once we left West Africa, there's certain things that we left behind and they kept it and copied it. And that's why you'll see some things is similar, but we ain't the same people and they know we ain't the same people. Guess who else knew we wasn't the same as them? Goliath knew we wasn't the same people, man.
That's right.
Goliath knew that we weren't the same people as Africans. And that's why Goliath said, I'll fight with you. And if I win, you become our servants. If you win, we become your servants. Goliath didn't say we're going to fight and all become one. Two nations don't fight to all become one. They fight so one can rule over one. Even World War I and World War II, what happens? The nation that loses, guess what they have to do? They have to sign all these treaties. They have to pay for all the damage that was caused. I'm sure Germany might still be in debt till this day based off how much they had to pay back. Germany had to let loose a ton of colonies. What the victors would say is you have to give these people their independence. I can't remember who it was that gave their independence. Was it Poland or one of them countries? It was one of them countries that gave their independence. And that's what happens when you win wars. You decide what happens. And that's why when Jesus Christ returns, he's going to fight to win this war. And the ball is going to be in his court, man. He ain't fighting so everybody can be equal. He's fighting so one nation can rule over the next. So one nation can rule over the rest. And he's going to win so we can rule over everybody, man. Now we're going to get that precept where these Africans got circumcised.
Genesis 34 and 13. And the sons of Jacob.
See, so now that's how you know we had circumcision before these Africans, man. Why? Because Isaac got circumcised in Genesis, the 21st chapter, man. And now these Africans, this is the time of Jacob. This is the Africans where after they raped Jacob's daughter. What was her name? Was it Dinah or something?
Dinah.
Yeah, they raped Jacob's daughter, man. Which is nothing new, man. They've been listen, man. That rapist in the IUIC, he's from a nation of rapists, man. They've always been raping, man. They've always been raping. Listen, man. If the IUIC was smart, they would have read this precept right here and seen that an African raped one of Jacob's daughters, man. And they would have said, we're keeping Jacob's daughters away from these Africans, man. You don't mix them together. You don't have them in your organization with you. Nah, man, that's the wrong thing to do. These Africans have been raping since the book of Genesis, man. And he raped Jacob's daughter. What verse is it?
Verse 13. What, sorry, do you want the rape part?
Actually, yeah, you can get that as well.
Right.
So we can prove that Africans is rapists, man.
Genesis 34 and 1. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her and defiled her. Listen, man. This man defiled her, man. And like we said, these men have fetishes for our sisters and our daughters, man. This man's in love with her, man. He's defiled her. Listen, man. You ain't supposed to touch no daughter of the Lord, man. No African is supposed to touch none of the children of Israel, man. And one of the Dinah right here, she's one of the children of Israel. Why? Because she's his daughter, man. Same like you're his daughters today. Go ahead. And his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob.
And listen, man, that Hammer in the IUIC done the same thing, man. His soul clave onto that sister, man, so much that he had to drug her and rape her, man. He had to drug her and rape her because he in his mind, he just couldn't not go without. Listen, man, sometimes in life, not every woman is going to like you. Sometimes in life, you might like a woman and she don't like you back. That don't mean you rape her, man. If she don't like you back, guess what? There's about how much women is there in the world? About what? 7 billion.
Yeah.
There's about 7 billion. If one woman don't like it, I'm sure out of the 7 billion, At least one other one will. At least two of us will. You shouldn't be raping no woman, man. We shouldn't be following after none of these other cultures, man. In Arab culture, it's okay to just take up a woman by force and do whatever you want. In here, you're taught to love your sisters and your daughters and your wives. In here, we taught to love our sisters, daughters, and wives, man. It's not Israelite culture for you to abuse your woman. We don't do that in here, man. You know why you don't abuse her? Because why? She is the daughter of your brother, man. If you love your brother like you love yourself, guess what? You wouldn't want no one to abuse your daughter, so you shouldn't abuse nobody else's daughter, man. Imagine that. Imagine you marry my daughter and then I find that you're abusing her, man. What are you going to come and tell me? We're meant to have brotherhood towards one another, man. You're supposed to be like, you know what? This right here, she's my sister, man. That's why Solomon said, my sister, my spouse. Because really, your rib is your sister, man. Because why? She's from the same nationality as you, man. She's supposed to be from the same nationality as you. Obviously, if you took a wife of another nation which is before the truth, obviously don't sweat it. That's before the truth. You just don't do that no further. You just don't take no more strange women no more. That's what you do. But go ahead.
And it so came unto Dinah, daughter Jacob, and he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel. And Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, Get me this damsel to wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with the cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they were come. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out unto Jacob to commune with him. And the sons of Jacob came out to the field when they heard it, and the men were grieved.
Go ahead.
And they were very rough, because he had wrought folly in Israel.
Listen, man, we ain't supposed to be making marriages with them heathens, man. We ain't supposed to be making marriages with them heathens. Listen, this is before we had the written law of Moses. Now they had it orally. So obviously you're going to find that this Hamite was basically, what he says in this is the same thing that the Lord tells us in the law, in the opposite, man. This man said, let's make marriages together. The Lord told us in the law, don't make marriages with them, man. He told us, don't make marriages with them. Read on, we'll get to it.
In lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done. And
which thing ought not to be done, man. Listen, these Hamites are supposed to come nowhere near us. We need to get that notion out of our head that the African man is the original man. The Nubian woman is the original woman. I hear, like I say all the time, Taurus Riley's got a song called My Nubian Queen. Meanwhile, Taurus Riley grew up in Jamaica, man. You're supposed to love the women that you're amongst, man. Imagine you see these black women every day struggling. Imagine Taurus Riley's grandma's a black woman, man. His mom's a black woman from the Caribbean. He skipped all of them and made a song about some Egyptian woman or Ethiopian woman that he's probably never seen in his life. Based on what? A lack of understanding. Based on us thinking that we have ties to them. We think we have ties to them. So we big them up, and deep down they hate us, man. Do you think a Nubian woman's going to look at Taurus Riley and get with him only for the money? She'll get with him for the money. What you'll find is for the money she'll get with him. What you'll find is a lot of wrestlers go to Ethiopia and get with Ethiopian women, and they think, yeah, man, I've got a princess. This Ethiopian woman's only with you for the money, man. There's coming a time when she's about to poison you, man. She's going to get you to write her in the will, and she's going to poison you. Or what they do is they have a baby by you, and then they know they're set for life. But obviously that baby would obviously be an Israelite because you're an Israelite, man. So obviously what you'll find is in Ethiopia right now, there's a ton of Israelite babies running around, man. Ton of Israelite babies running around. And years down the line, you're going to ask them, so where are you from? They're going to be like, oh, my mom's Ethiopian, but my great-great-granddad was a Rastafarian. You're going to be like, yep, one of them Benjamites in Shashamani. You're going to be like, yep, obviously he's one of them Benjamites from. So yeah, they will always know. Because tons of rest of them do it. They go to Ethiopia and they have babies with Ethiopian women. Whereas you left one place to go there, and what you'll find is over there, they got like a Caribbean community, which means you could have just had the Caribbean community in Jamaica. That's right. You could have just had the Caribbean community in England. Imagine you leave your land thinking you go into the motherland, just to see the same people that you was with over here. The scenery might change, but the people's not changing. You rather just stay over here, man. You might as well build up over here instead of going and building up over there, instead of sending all your money there to build up houses, building up Ethiopia, whereas you could just build all of these things in the Caribbean, man. If you're going to donate any money, man, don't be sending it to Africa. I hear people all the time, oh yeah, because I'm building a well in Africa so children can have clean water. Listen, man, if your background is Caribbean, you shouldn't be doing that, man. You have obligations to help your own people. Your own people need helping. Your own people need water. Your own people is barely surviving, and you're helping another nation who's never helped you. You're helping another nation who's never said, well, never said to the oppressor, free these black people from slavery. They rounded you up and sold you, man. They was all for it. They traded you in for handkerchiefs. And now you want to give them money to get clean water. You're supposed to watch them die first, man, and say it's not my problem. You're supposed to say that is an African problem, man, instead of you getting involved, sending them money for clean water. That's nothing to do with us, man. We have our own issues in the black community. We have our own issues, man, and we need to fix ourselves instead of fixing everybody else. Go ahead.
And Hamor communed with them, saying, the soul of my son Shechem longeth for your daughter.
Listen, man, if an African man ever comes to you and tells you he wants to marry his daughter, and you slam the door in his face, man, you tell him, get the hell away from my door. You ain't having my daughter, man. Tell him your daughter is royalty and she's reserved for a prince of her nation, man. She's reserved for a righteous man of her nation. Don't ever give your daughter away to some next nation, man. And if your daughter disobeys all your orders and goes with a man of a next nation, guess what you do? Let her show her your disapproval, man. What do? You don't attend the wedding. Don't be walking her down the aisle. Don't be walking her down the aisle, giving her away to a man of another nation. You stay at home that day. If she wants to go do that, she does that on her own, man. Listen, man. It ain't no crime to kick your children out when they're of age and go against your orders, man. It ain't no crime. Imagine you've raised your daughter your whole life, and your daughter gets to 21, 22, and she wants to marry a Hamite. You can kick her out your house. You want to go be with that Hamite? Well, you better go live with him, because I'm not having that under my roof. I'm not having that under my roof, man. She sends you invites to the wedding. You go burn them invites up, man. You burn them invites up. And this is what you do. You tell everyone, I didn't raise her that way. You tell everyone, I didn't raise her that way, man. You say she wasn't raised that way. Whenever your children do anything which goes against how they was raised, you let it be known that you didn't raise them that way, man. Like what most people do is, if your child becomes a criminal, you just okay and be like, well, it's my child. I have to love them no matter what. My love's unconditional. The reason that's why they do these things, because they know that your love's unconditional, man. If they understood that you're going to stop loving them for certain things they do, they wouldn't do those things, man. If they understood those things, they would stop doing them things. If your children understood you're going to cut them off if they become a murderer or a rapist or whatever, anything else disgusting, maybe they wouldn't become them things. Imagine this, your child becomes those things and you're visiting them in prison and sending them money and okaying it. Nah, man, if your child's wrong, they're wrong, man. Don't be coercing them and making them believe it's right. If your child's wrong, it's wrong. Listen, man, if my child done any of them disgusting acts, I'm going to go to the other people's parents and I'm going to side with the other parents, man. And I'm going to say he's wrong. He wasn't raised that way, man. I'm not going to be consoling you when you're in the wrong. No. Listen, the Bible says that back then you'd be stoned to death, so evil could be put away from Israel, man. Now, as long as you're consoling them and hugging and kissing them and okaying their behavior, you're not putting evil away from Israel, man. You're just okaying them, letting them know, okay, anything you do, I'll be here for you. Anything you do, I'll be here for you. Listen, man, there's some things that children do where, no, you can't be there for them for it, man. You love your children, yeah, you should, but there's certain things that they do where there comes a time where you have to withdraw your love. There comes a time where you have to say, I'm not okaying that. I'm not allowing that to slide, man. And then maybe the other people's parents will look at you and be like, that's a good parent. They understood that their child's wrong. And we can't hold it against them. We can't hold it against his parents because his parents have come to us and said, My child wasn't raised that way. Listen, man, we ain't raising our children to want to marry Hamites, to where Hamites think they can knock on our door and ask can they marry our daughter. We ain't allowing that. Go ahead.
I pray you, give her to me to wife, and make ye marriages with us, and give your daughter unto us, and take our daughters unto you.
And now, they was telling us do this. They was telling us that we should give our daughters to them, and we should give. They're going to give their sons to our daughters and so forth. They wanted to do all of these things, which goes against the law of the Lord, man. Now, when they tell you these things, it might sound nice. It might sound like unity. It might sound like, yeah, we all one race. We're coming together. It sounds nice, but what does the Lord say about it? Get me Deuteronomy 7. We're going to see what the Lord has to say about it.
Deuteronomy 7:3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them.
Listen, man. Them Hamites come up to us saying we should give our daughters to them and so forth, saying that we should give our daughters to them. And what did the Lord say?
Neither shalt thou make marriages with them.
The Lord said we shouldn't make marriages with them, man. We shouldn't join them. We shouldn't do nothing with them. Neither shall thou make marriages with them. Because once you make marriages with them, guess what happens? They steal your whole culture, man. You make marriages with them, you lose your culture. What you will find is, listen, I see it all the time. When brothers marry African women, you see them having African weddings. Have you seen it? They're having African weddings. I'm seeing that man in a dashiki and he doesn't know why he's wearing it. Go ahead.
And he's calling their family auntie.
All of them, that nonsense. The African food at the wedding is calling uncle, all of these things, eating their food, listening to African music. Listen, man, you marry them and you give up your culture, and then you have children, and then you raise your children like Africans, man. You raise your children like Africans. Your children no longer know who they are, man. You give them, you take on their culture, and we ain't supposed to take on their culture, man. We ain't supposed to take on their culture at all. You marry them and you give them everything, man. And listen, man, believe it or not, this is how this is how black people basically lost the royal family also, man, because of all of this interracial marriage, man. The granddaughter of King James married she married some, what was it, some Edomite German prince, I believe. Yeah. She married some Edomite German prince. So because she married him, they had a son, and I'm sure that son was George the I. That son was George the I. So his granddaughter, King James's granddaughter, I believe her name was Sarah. She married some Edomite German prince or something, who was George the I. And then obviously, when King James II, James VII, once he was king, I'm sure they took the throne off him because he was Catholic. And then when the Jacobites was meant to be on the throne, they went to the closest heir who was non-Catholic. But they said, no, we're not taking no more kings from this Jacobite line. So what did they do? They said, we're going to go to the closest heir outside of that line. They went to the closest heir outside of that line. Who did it end up being? George I. It ended up being George I. And then after that, you had George II, all these Edwards, all of these people, until now you get Elizabeth and Charles. Interracial marriaging is what lost black people the throne, man. What should have happened if we married our own people? Guess what would have happened? That throne would have stayed with black people, because the closest heirs would have been black people. Everywhere they looked, on every side, they would have had to give it to some brother or sister. But no, she married some German prince called George I. And then obviously, no, not George I. George I was her son. So she married this German prince. They had a son. And obviously the seed is in the man. So obviously the seed which came out of that German man was a German son who they named George I. And then after that, you had all these Georges, these Edwards, and now the throne is Edomites now. And it was lost because of what? Interracial marriaging. And this is why the Lord said we shouldn't mix. The Lord said we shouldn't mix the whole. Do you know where that one is? I believe it's 1 Ezra 8, where it says the holy seed is mixed.
I'll find it.
So now we should have mixed for that very reason, man. We should have mixed for that very reason, and we also should have mixed because the Lord told us not to. Imagine that. Everything that you have, you've now given it away. Now you've lost everything. And now imagine this. The Jacobites is probably just some nobodies now. Imagine this. You're from a line of royalty. One time you sat on 3 thrones. And then now you're near enough nothing. Listen, man, we need to stop this interracial stuff, man. It goes against God and it loses us our culture. And we need to start bringing other nations in because now we've lost rap, we've lost reggae, we've lost rock and roll. King James and his family lost the throne. How much more things are we going to lose due to loving these other nations? Due to bringing them in. Listen, man. We need to start bringing them in because we'll lose everything.
First Ezra 8 and 70. For both they and their sons have married their daughters, and the Holy See.
So now the Lord's saying for both they and their sons have married their daughters, meaning the Lord gave us a law in the book of Deuteronomy that we just read. And what the Lord gave us, we just disregarded it. We disregarded it. We didn't listen to it. And then now we hear in the book of First Ezra reading about what happened because we disregarded what the Lord told us to do. Go ahead.
And the Holy Seed is mixed.
And the what?
The Holy Seed is mixed.
And listen, that seed that you have is holy, man. You ain't supposed to be giving this to no other race, man. That holy seed that you have, you ain't supposed to be putting that in no next race of woman, man. You ain't supposed to be putting that in no Chinese woman, man. In no Arab woman, in no white woman, in no African woman. The Lord gave you a holy woman to pull it in, man. It says the holy seed is mixed. Go ahead.
With the strange people
and
of
that
the land.
Peoples, the strange, they're meant to be strangers to us. We ain't supposed to know them. And now there came a time when we started taking their sons, taking their daughters. We started marrying into their families, man. We started marrying them into our families. And once you marry them into your family, you just lose your culture, man. Just imagine you marry a woman you're not supposed to marry. You just lose your culture that you had your whole life growing up. Like obviously with us in the UK, we have a very Benjamite culture. Whereas if your ribs if your ribs are Israelite too, we all have the same culture where we eat the same kind of foods, like the same kind of music, got the same kind of vibe. If you marry somebody else, you lose your culture, man. Because then you start to add their culture into your household. You start to do things that you would never usually do. Things that ain't normal to you, you start to do. You start to allow the dog to sleep in the bed with you. You start to kiss the dog. Things that you would never do, man. Things that you would never do if you married a woman or a man of your own kind. But once you marry outside of that, you take on everybody else's culture. Yeah, go ahead.
And from the beginning of this matter, the rulers and the great men have been partakers of this iniquity.
Man, the rulers and the great men have been partakers in this iniquity, meaning the men that was the kings and princes, man. The rulers, they've been partakers in this iniquity. This iniquity, it starts at the top, and the people at the bottom start to do it, man. Kanye West, before he was a great man, he was married to a black woman. While he was with a black woman, as soon as he became a great man, what did he do? Kim Kardashian. Listen, man, they all do it, man. Serena Williams, she became one of the greatest tennis players of all time. What does she do? Marries a white man. I'm sure she called black men childish little boys, and calls black men childish little boys. Listen, man, the great people of our nation, who everyone looks up to, they've been partakers of this iniquity. We need to stop looking up to these people, man. You need to start looking up to the men of the Lord. That's who you need to start looking up to. Serena Williams, don't look up to her. The only thing Serena Williams can teach you about is how to play tennis, man. The only thing I don't even know what Kanye West can teach you about. You see him in his White Lives Matters t-shirt. I don't know what's going on with Kanye West lately. But listen, man, All they can teach you about is entertainment and music. They can't teach you how to save your life. They can't teach you how to rule your family and how to keep your family alive and so forth. They can't teach you those things, but the men in here can. Go ahead.
And as soon as I had heard these things, I rent my clothes.
As soon as he heard this, he ripped his garment, man, because he was mad with frustration. He ripped it. You see, like nowadays, people punch walls and windows. That was him back then. He ripped his garment, man, when he heard that. When he heard these brothers and sisters is marrying other nations when they ain't supposed to. He rent his garment. Go ahead.
And the holy garment, and pulled off the hair off my head.
And he started pulling his hair and everything. He was mad. He was angry about that, man. You know why? Because this man has a zeal for the Lord, man. He has a zeal for the Lord. He knows what the Lord requires, what the Lord wants. These people here, now you might see a heathen and think she looks good. Listen, man, stay away from her. You go with her, there's going to be some kind of punishment, man. She might look good, but there's going to be repercussions, man. She ain't going to look so good once the Lord's judgment comes, man. Once the Lord's judgment comes, you're going to regret it, man. And he's renting his garment, and we do that same thing today. Every time we see our brothers out there in the world doing some dumb stuff, we be like, damn, why has he done that? Because we know the Lord is coming back with a punishment, man. They don't know. Most people in the world don't know. When you disobey the Lord, there's some kind of punishment. They don't know these things, but we do. So that's why we do these classes, and we go out there and teach our brothers and sisters, look, man, obey the Lord. Obey the Lord. Because if you don't obey the Lord, there's punishment and repercussions. There's punishment and repercussions. We teach all of these things, man, because we tired of seeing our people die. We tired of seeing our people die. We don't want to see our people die no more. So we go out there and teach them, man, because you might think, all right, I'm going to marry this heathen. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to end up like Kanye West, depressed and upset, having no say in your kids' lives. Kanye West said he's got no... Listen, man, he was saying the other day he's got no say in his kids' lives. I'm sure she even threw a party for one of the kids and didn't give him the invitation, didn't give him the location. She cut him off. And listen, man, you being a black man, that's what it's like once you marry these heathens, man. And you got nobody else to blame but yourself. I mean, go ahead.
Now, I'm saying that's a punishment right there.
There you go.
Man, these are your kids. And because the woman's of another nation, the other nations listen to her and not you.
Right.
While you with a black woman, black men can relate and go, no, let's hear him out too. And things will work out better.
Exactly. Listen, man, at least with a black woman, you're gonna get better chance of seeing your kids than if you have children with somebody else. Straight away, if you're a black man going to court to see your kids and they see that your woman's a white woman, they're gonna believe everything she says. They ain't gonna believe nothing that you say, man. You ain't getting no custody. Kanye's out his mind if he thinks he's ever gonna get custody of them kids, man. Kanye West is out his mind. He ain't never getting custody of them kids. Go ahead.
And the beard, and sat me down sad and very heavy.
And he sat down sad and very heavy, man. Imagine that. He's seeing all these beautiful sisters in his nation, thinking, damn, these great men could have went with one of them. You could have took a sister from the ghetto and helped make her life better, man. You could have went with one of your sisters. Instead, you choose to go with somebody else to make their life better. Imagine this, man. All these celebrities that marry, so some of them marry their secretaries and whatever. Whereas you're trying to tell me you can't find a black secretary. There's tons of them, man. Just walk into our office, you'll see tons of them. You walk into our office, you'll see tons of them, man. You marry all of these people and make them rich. Nah, man, it's the wrong thing to do. Go ahead.
As soon, so all they that were then moved at the word of the Lord God of Israel assembled unto me, whilst I mourned for their iniquity, but I sat still full of heaviness until the evening sacrifice.
And listen, man, he sat full of heaviness until the evening sacrifice, man. Meaning he's rough, he's angry, and he's upset at what he's seeing, man. And it's sad when we see these things too. Listen, man, black women deserve black love, man. Black men deserve love from black women, man. We deserve to love one another. Imagine this. That holy seed that you have, imagine you go and give it to somebody else. That holy seed is reserved for Black and Hispanic women, man. You're meant to give that holy seed to a sister of your nation. Don't be giving it to somebody else. Now, Kanye West gave that holy seed to a heathen, and guess what's happening? His children are being raised like heathens now. His children are being raised like heathens now. Listen, say what you want about Beyonce and Jay-Z. At least Jay-Z gave that holy seed to a Black woman, man. At least Jay-Z did that, man. He probably does everything else wrong, but at least he did that. At least he gave that holy seed to a Black woman, man. Listen, man. All these rappers usually don't get women of their own kind, man. They usually go for somebody outside of their race. Your Ray J's and all of them. Listen, man. You should love a Black woman and marry a Black woman or Hispanic. Listen, man, you got 12 tribes of women to choose from, man. The Lord gave you a variety. You got 12 tribes of women to choose from. There's no excuse for you to go outside of your race, man. Any more on that?
That was it.
All right, and that brings us to the end of the class. Yes. All right, we're going to do the security announcements. Are they on that side or? Yeah. It's not in there. No, that's not there.
That's right. Yeah, I've got it.
You got it.
Yeah. Right, ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK, started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. Rule for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are here to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10, means tenth in the Hebrew, ma'ashara, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the Treasury Department or teacher, priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations.
The closing of the Feast of Tabernacles, Monday the 17th of October, which is Monday coming. So Monday coming is the closing of the Feast of Tabernacles, which is Monday the 17th of October.
Remind Akim and Aquaf, check the bulletin board in the hallway and check all ISUPK social media. So Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and also the Google My Business, where you can get directions to get here. If anyone wants to become a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirts, pants, headbands, and scarves. And with that, we're going to give the teacher one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, Imadium. Men of Israel, Imadium Shabbat. Imadium, Barak. Yahweh Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai Barak Atah.
Yahweh Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai Barak Atah.
Yad Yamatah. Class dismissed.